to make sure that the only thing that they are concerned about is having a good time. The only thing they're concerned about is filling their bellies. The only thing they're concerned about is acquiring more and more material things. And so that is why today, one of the struggles that you have as young people, that when you want to do different events and you want to talk about real issues, you have the struggle of many of your peers who've been so conditioned in this matrix that they would rather party than listen to the truth. They would rather party and shop and go to the mall than to stand up for issues of justice. They're stuck in the matrix. But you have the responsibility of helping to wake them up. And fortunately, you do not need a whole bunch of people to do it. Because once you have the truth, it doesn't matter how many people you have. You have quality people, and you always take quality over quantity. But now there's a situation where the young people have been so distracted, have been so influenced, have been so indoctrinated, that young people today are not cognizant of the fact, not aware of the reality, that this country, America, is headed towards another period that could make the 60s look like a dress rehearsal. And at the core of that struggle has always been and will always be young people. But if you're students of history, you will know that in every period in America in which it was a period of upheaval and social activism, it came after a period where the people just wanted to chill. Remember the roaring 20s? Y'all go to class that day? The roaring 20s. Roaring because what? People was having fun, roaring, like it was party time, right? And look what happened in the 30s, right? During like the 50s, Ozzie and Harriet, right? Leave It to Beaver and so on and so forth, right? And the 50s led to what? The 60s. Look back in America. Right now, the people are in chill mode. Chill. It's about materialism, it's about sex, it's about the latest styles and so on and so forth. And young people have been distracted. But young people have a certain nature. You've been wired a certain way. You can't help it. You crazy. That's how you've been wired. You're optimistic. You're daring. You're enthusiastic. You're idealistic. You're courageous. That's how you're wired right now. And so although there are attempts to get you to go away from your nature as young people, at some point in time, you're going to wake up again. Because that's your nature. Because again, that's how you've been wired. And so this Islamic Awareness Week is important because, again, many people, their only understanding of Islam is what they get from the media. That's it. Their only understanding, their only view and picture of Islam is what they see on Fox News and CNN and the like. So we are here to give you this week, we want you to take the green pill. Yeah, if you take the red pill, you'll stay in the matrix. You'll just stay like, you'll fall for the okie doke on everything. You know what I'm saying? You'll even have a college degree from UCI and you'll fall for the okie doke because you stuck in a matrix. Because there are people who are well educated, right? And they stuck. They're not even thinking about it. How much money they have to pay for mortgages on their homes. And the poor people who paid all this money for their home, and now the price of the homes are falling because the prices were inflated, and now they have to pay back a mortgage on a home that's worth less than what they bought. They stuck in the matrix. And instead of them saying, no, I ain't playing this game. I'm not playing this game of you getting me in debt all the time. I'm not playing this game of me having to buy the latest this and the latest that when I can't afford it. I'm not playing this game anymore of taking a second out on my house, taking a second mortgage out on my house so I can buy me a boat or buy me a bigger TV. Instead of them saying, I'm not playing this game anymore, they're getting deeper and deeper into that dangerous game. And they're losing themselves. They're stuck in the matrix. But there's a way that it can be controlled. There's a way that we can look at this thing called the matrix. Look at this American lifestyle. This lifestyle of materialism. The Muslims want to call this the iPod era or the iPod generation, what have you, is because of their recognition that the technology is, even although some of it is good and should be used for good, but some of the technology itself is actually breeding more and more individualism, more and more meism, at a time when there are so many problems taking place in this country that the people will have to come together, that the people will have to see that even though we are a different color, we have way more in common. What we have in common far outnumber our differences. Instead of thinking along those lines, we're being taught to think more as individuals. Me, mine. And that produces a sort of selfishness. And once you get in a selfish mode, you don't care about other people. Once you get in a selfish mode, you don't care about the poor. You don't care about the people who are being discriminated against. You don't care about the people who are having it hard. You don't care about the people who are losing their homes. You don't care about the people who don't have health care. You don't care about them because we've been taught and trained. It's all about me and only me. And so therefore, we throw in our little iPods and we leave this world. Leave me alone. I'm in my own world. Don't bother me. I'm in my own world. It's like being in the suburbs. I ain't got nothing against the suburbs. Some of my best friends are from the suburbs. But you get in the suburbs and you know how neighbors are supposed to treat each other? You know, if you're a neighbor, you owe your neighbor something. Neighbor in Islam, neighbors are almost like family, ain't that right? Neighbors are almost like family in Islam. If that's your neighbor, you owe them. It don't matter what religion they are, it don't matter what color they are, that's your neighbor. Therefore you owe them. But we have gotten into this matrix mode of thinking that when we get in our little enclaves, our homes, our neighbors, we feel no connection to our neighbors at all. Not in the least. It is that type of thinking, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, that we have to try to fight against within ourselves. So this whole materialism thing, we have to deal with it. And we want to give you a way of how to deal with it. Because see, this materialism thing is very, very strong. They put it in the children. They have the children growing up wanting and wanting and wanting. And when they become teenagers, it intensifies. They want. And then when you get to college, then you start wanting and wanting. And think that the reason why you're here is to enable you to get more and more stuff. And then once you get older, lawyers and doctors and mechanics, they have one thing on their mind: living large. They got to live large. And so therefore they will do anything by hook or crook in order to live large. So this materialism thing is so strong. And what happens is, as soon as we get to the point to where we fall in love with material things so much that they become the most important thing in our lives, then your soul goes. Your soul will go. Do you know that many Muslims in our countries, we have people who are running our countries, and the country may be rich, but the people who live there are poor. You know why? Because the leaders of that country have become attached to the wealth. They become attached to material things. And the leaders of these countries, whether they're Muslims or non-Muslims, in Africa and in Asia, they will allow other countries to exploit their land. They will allow other countries to steal their land, their labor, and their resources for a price. As long as they get to live rich, as long as they get Swiss bank accounts, as long as if they're worth $500 million or more, they have become attached to material things. And as soon as this attachment occurs, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, as soon as this attachment to material things occur, they got you. Read the book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Read that book. You have to read that book. That's one of the most important books to read right now in this phase of the struggle. Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins. And John Perkins said, there's a white American. He said, my job was to get these countries in so much debt, knowing that they couldn't pay it back. And once they couldn't pay it back, we would take over their country. But I would get them in debt, and I knew they could not repay it. That was my job. He said if a leader didn't go for that,